Welcome to the Samurai Vlog. As you know, the Samurai Vlog, I often talk about random things. Sometimes the more random, the better. But today we're talking about Dennis Day, an Irish-born comedian, born June 21st, 1916, died May 22nd, 1988. I think I got that right. Now, why are we talking about that? Well, history's a funny thing. Take, for instance, the character of the Green Turtle. He was considered to be the first non-Caucasian superhero, but because of how things were, they had him drawn shockingly pink, and he could never take his mask off. But because his writer was Chinese, he was later revived in the modern age, and the history would inspire the character to be brought back. And we would learn about who this character was in various forms. What I'm saying is sometimes the past can affect the future in interesting ways. Dennis Day was the second singer and an Irish tenor on the radio series The Jack Benny Show, replacing the former Irish tenor Kenny Baker. Later he himself was replaced by the singer Larry Stevens, but then returned back to The Jack Benny Show and later get his own spin-off show. Now I'm sure you're wondering, okay, why am I doing a Samurai Vlog about this tenor and comedian who died the same year I was born, 1988? Well, ironically enough, I just found out about that and thought that was kind of cool. I was born April 9th, 1988, so the fact he died the same year I was born is kind of interesting. But it's because of the way his character is written. His character is written as naive, innocent, and childlike. But to the modern sensibility, it seems to me that he is written almost like he has autism. Dennis fixates on a certain thing. Like, for instance, in one episode of the radio show, he fixates on Phil Harris having two shows, or him having two shows, or that he arrived at the Thanksgiving party at 6:30 in the morning. He said he would have been there earlier, but his mother's cow, his mother being the milkwoman, it took a while for the cow's back to get packed. And Dennis shows traits of being both goofy but also being a savant in certain things. In this case, it's Dennis's singing talent and his talent for impersonations, which is actually a thing people with autism actually do have. Being autistic myself, I can say this because I have seen people who are higher and lower on the spectrum, but they do have that savant abilities on certain things. And I have listened to other characters in some of the other Jack Benny shows. We have other tenors, and I don't think they play that as well as Dennis does. So do I think that Dennis, though it's not intended, is actually playing, before his time, someone who's actually autistic? It's not intended, but I think he actually is. I think if you listen to some of the Jack Benny episodes with Dennis, maybe his own solo series, you can see, if you know someone who has autism, you can see the traits there, and maybe that just seeing stuff that we can recognize now and not realizing it then. But I think it adds something nice to there. So I classify that the character of Dennis Day in the Jack Benny Show, maybe in his own show in general, should be considered as an autistic character. And maybe the first one on radio, because I don't think Gracie could be considered autistic. And she doesn't fixate on things, but Dennis does. Like, he'll fixate on a certain time or a certain thing and repeat it over and over again. And Jack will show frustration with it, almost like an older brother does. He'll try and calm Dennis down or something like that. there's also that savant ability. So whether the writers intended or not, or whether Dennis intended or not, I think they have that autism-like abilities. If you don't believe me, listen to some of the Jack Benny radio shows with Dennis in there. I don't think Larry Stevens or Katie Baker have that ability, as they just play it childlike, but I think Dennis brings a little bit of that autism. Whether he intended it or not, he brings that to there. And I just think that's interesting to someone who has autism to see that. And a lot of people have said they see that in his performance, whether he intended it or not. I think it's interesting that we can bring that to this now and see that Dennis does that. Unintentional or not, the fact that it's there maybe shows that Dennis was a little bit ahead of his time in his portrayal. So yeah, just one to grow on, maybe Dennis Day didn't know it for his time. Maybe he didn't even realize it then, but he may have created the first autistic character in radio, him and the writers, whether they knew it or not. Listen to a couple episodes of the Jack Benny radio show. I'm sure you can find them on YouTube. Specifically episodes where Jack Benny has Dennis as the tenor. And even listen to his own show, the Dennis Day Show. And see if you can find those autistic traits. And let me know what you think is true. Is Dennis autistic, or is he just really clever and playing Jack for his own fun? Alright, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon for new. Hope you enjoyed my samurai vlog on Dennis Day. Maybe next time I'll review an episode. Maybe sometime in the future I'll review an episode of the Jack Benny radio show with Dennis in it and let you know my thoughts. Or maybe even an episode of Dennis's own show. Alright, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon for new. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the samurai vlog on Dennis Day. Till next time. We'll see you when Irish eyes are smiling and all the world is happy and joyful. Later days.